Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us here today. If you're new, I'm Amanda. Welcome to the channel where we are all about shattering the mental health stigma. If you haven't already, make sure to make sweet, sweet love to that subscribe button so you're not missing any of these reactions, any of my vlogs about my mental health journey, or any of my celebrity interviews about their mental health journeys. Today's reaction was not a Patreon request, but I will go ahead and link my Patreon below. I have some really amazing projects in the works, and again, as always, all of my Patreon goes to my mental health outreach. But today is a song that I've been getting requested a lot. It's A Reason to Fight by Disturbed, and I don't know really anything else about this song, but I learned that this song was in tribute to Chris Cornell from Soundgarden, Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots, and Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. So I wanted to do something special since today is actually the 4th anniversary since Chester lost his life to suicide, and Chris was just before that. Scott was a couple years before. But in memorial of Chester, I wanted to do something special today. Like I said, got a request for this song. So joining me here today is Jaime Bennington, who has been here on the channel before. It's not your first time.
True. Thank you for having me back.
Welcome back. I'm really excited to do this reaction and hear this song. I hear that, it's helped a lot of people, and that's what we're here for, is just have that conversation about mental health, break that stigma, shatter that stigma.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm excited to hear this. I had no idea this existed, so this is the first time I'm hearing about it and hearing it. So
yep, I've never heard it. I do know Disturbed. I have heard Disturbed before, but I've never heard this specific song. I don't know how. I haven't heard this song either, but I've never heard it either. So you ready to dive in?
I am.
Okay, let's go.
In your eyes, reflecting the pain that has taken you. I hear it in your voice, so ridden with shame from what's ailing you.
We're 30 seconds in, and I'm already about to cry.
It's all good.
Yeah, the idea of just trying to hide who you are, and trying to feel like you have to hide who you are. And I feel that was probably something that all three of those men had to go through, unfortunately, is trying to hide who they are and dealing with the shame of the inflictions that each of them went through individually.
Yeah. I mean, don't we all do that?
We do, and I think that's really sad that people still feel like they have to hide,
Yeah, it's a symptom of the times. People are getting more comfortable with it, but 4 years ago, that was not something that was comfortable. People are getting more comfortable with it.
I think that's a good thing, that's come out of all this, is just moving in the right direction with the mental health, with the mental health conversation, being able to talk about it more, having safe places like this to talk about it, the music that's coming out, the art that's coming out to let people know that it's okay and it's normal. But that hits really hard, just to think about looking in someone's eyes and perhaps not knowing what they're going through, or maybe you do know what they're going through, and seeing that reflection is just, it's hard. That's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I obviously have my fair share of mental health issues, and today, I think we were both saying, it's just like, today is not the day.
Yeah.
Today is a tough one for whatever reason. We both have our own reasons, but yeah, I've actually had that struggle today a couple of times, so it's ringing true to me.
Well, I'm glad that we can be here and go through this together.
Maybe
have some release, maybe get through some of our own emotions. But yeah, me too. Me too, Jamie.
I won't give up, so don't give in. You've fallen down, but you can rise again. So don't give up when the demon that's inside you is ready to begin, and it feels like it's a battle that you will never win.
That's the hard part, is feeling like there's no winning, like there's no end to it.
Yeah.
But That's exactly what I wanted to hear, when I was in the worst of my depression is I'm here and we're going to fight this together and you can do this, you can get through this. Just having a voice of someone that had been there, that had gone through it, saying, I got your back, I'm here. That's what people need, is knowing that they're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said today's not a great day. I've actually already had like 2 or 3 of those moments of fighting with myself and, I guess not thinking that I'm going to get out of it. And luckily, I do have people to talk to about that. But yeah, you're one of them. My partner's here, and they're obviously always, doing what partners do. And
good partners, what good partners do.
Right, good partners do. And I don't know, I feel like the song is really hitting the right notes. The only thing I would say is that I'm not a huge fan of the demon inside metaphor, because it's not like that.
I think that people take demon and correlate it to evil, and I will agree with you that I don't think that pain inside, that hurt, is evil. The only reason I ever use the term demon is because I was a big Lucifer fan, and when I was watching that show, it really hurt me simply because he felt like he had to hide his devil face, and I really related to that, feeling like I had to hide that part of me. I call mine my shadow. The depression and everything is my shadow, but yeah, I agree with you that...
Well, I don't think it's to say it's evil. I think it's to say that it's something that you have no control over or no way of understanding fully, and I think that is what causes more mental distress than anything else, because you do know what it is.
Yeah.
It's always related back to something that happened to you. And if you can't remember, then that's part of the struggle. And part of that struggle is understanding you can either let it go, or you could spend the time that you need to spend to tackle that problem. And I think when you demonize something, it turns it into something supernatural beyond our understanding and control. I think that's a bit detrimental. But so far, it's absolutely beautiful. I love the way it's shot, the music video. And
me too.
The message is pretty spot on. I like it.
In this case, obviously, the reason to fight is this person's family and loved ones, but there's always a reason, even if we can't find it at the time. And yeah, I really like the way it's shot and the message of it too. The image of him in the bottle, that broke my heart. Like, my mom was a recovering alcoholic and didn't have any issues when I was alive, but I definitely, hearing her stories and her struggles and hearing of some other people that have went through hell because of that. My dad was completely disabled because of a drunk driver, and I mentioned that in a previous video. I had a half-brother I'll never meet. He died at 19, the year I was born, because of a drunk driver, and it's so tragic to watch people fall down in that. Obviously, I fell through cocaine, and everybody kind of has those battles, but you got to find that reason to get out of it, get to the other side of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
When you're aching for the fire and I'm begging for your sake, when there's nothing left inside, there's still a reason to fight. Lost in your world of lies, I find it so hard.
That one's a hard one for me, because I know when I was in addiction, I would have lied to my own mother. Like, I would have done anything to escape that. And I think that that's kind of across the board with mental health, is we don't mean to, but when you get that far down, you just want to survive, and sometimes you feel like you have to lie to survive.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that we're kind of taught that from very early age, that if we show any kind of emotional vulnerability, then you're not cut out for the task, and then you end up not being able to do a lot of things, right? People make those choices for you, and so that's an interesting point to make for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you feel the guilt and the shame for feeling like you had to lie. So it's just this vicious cycle, and that I feel so terrible for people that feel like they have to hide behind that mask, that they feel like nobody's going to love their devil face, because there are people.
Yeah.
There are people that do. There are people that will.
Well, for sure. And I think too, some mental illness, you lie and you don't mean to literally. You just don't know you did it.
Yeah. Like,
or you do it and you're like, well, it was impulsive. It wasn't thought out, you know.
a big one for me was when someone would ask, "Are you okay?" And my instinct answer is to say, "Yep, I'm fine." When inside I'm dying, and at that time I had been contemplating suicide. Like,
Yeah.
but my instinct response is, "Yep, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm fine." It's so sad that we feel like we have to do that.
To believe in you. Can it be real this time, or just a part of this game that we're playing through? I won't give up, so don't give in. You've fallen down, but you will rise again. I won't give up when the demon that's inside you is ready to begin. And it feels like it's a battle and you will never win. When you're aching for the fire and begging for your sin.
Aching for the fire, begging for your sin. I take fire as alcohol because, a lot of people call it
Yeah.
fire water. Aching for your sin. I would correlate more to drugs in that line. That was my take. I don't know if you took that differently, but I wish that people understood that addiction, be it alcohol, cutting, whatever the case is, drugs, it's so much more than just I want to do that because it sounds like a fun idea. No, it is a deep, deep, deep aching in your soul that you really, after a while, have no control over, that you will do anything to fulfill
Yeah.
that. You'll do
Well,
anything.
it's like a really strong craving.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that. It's like when you start feeling like you want to eat something or to go do something very specific, and then you're just like, that's all you can think about.
Yeah.
It's fixating in a lot of ways. But one of the interesting things I just heard there was that he called it all a game that they're playing. And the funny thing is like the whole song is refusing to acknowledge the fact that if it's a game, you make your own rules. So why wouldn't you make your own rules? Because
Yes.
you're essentially he's succumbing to the rules of the game that was given to him. But the funny thing is that we aren't given a game. We make a game out of what we have.
I think that's a powerful analogy, and I had someone the other day that was saying, well, I feel like I am in that final boss, and here's all the restrictions that were put on me. I'm like, but no game would be created that way. No game's going to be created with those kinds of restrictions because it wouldn't be in the benefit of the game creators.
Yeah, or the player.
Because
the player wants freedom, but you wouldn't play Zelda Breath of the Wild and go, oh my God, I can't believe they forced me to fight Ganon in board
Right.
shorts. It's like, no, you chose to fight Ganon in board shorts with a stick 20 minutes into the game because you chose to do that. And that's fine because you could still do it, but it makes it a lot more difficult. And for me personally, I don't have I think the way it works for me personally with my mental health, it's not that I feel like I'm going to give up or I can't make it or whatever. It's more like such an overwhelming feeling. It feels like the feeling's never going to end. I don't see it as anything but a challenge to get through, personally. And so it's interesting to me to watch other people talk about that stuff because obviously he's talking about the way he sees his mental illness and the mental illness struggles of others, which again, he says a lot of really good stuff. But then again, well, if it's a game, then why can't you play it differently? Where did the game come from?
Yeah. First of all,
how are you going to not fetishize this?
right? First of all,
Yeah.
I love you so much that you brought up Zelda. This is why we're friends, Jamie, because Zelda is my jive. Obviously, you can see my Triforce tattoo on the back of my hand. But when I came out of my depression, when I started to come out of it, I really developed the mindset of I'm going to look at every day like a video game. Instead of laying in bed and going, oh my God, I can't do this again, and it's just too overwhelming, I started looking at life as a video game. And if I felt myself coming up on obstacles that seemed insurmountable, it's okay, do I need to learn a new skill? Do I need to meet
Right.
someone? Do I need to collect items? What do I need to do to move forward? So yeah, I actually really like the game analogy too, but I think that unfortunately, it's very frequent that people, loved ones outside of the person struggling, accuse them of, just being lazy or just playing games with them or just not being considerate of other people or whatever the case is, people can treat depression and addiction and whatnot as a game when it's not. It's not, it's not something that we're doing for fun when it gets to
also
that point.
too, you have to look at our society. In every scary movie, it's never up to the person who's experiencing these things to stop it and go, you know what, I am scared, but I'm not going to be scared anymore. Or, you know what, that thing is literally a manifestation of my sadness or my pain, and I have to handle that because it's me.
Yep.
Instead, it's like, oh no, it's a scary monster, and I can't stop it, and I'm just going to be ripped to pieces. And that's the way we treat mental health, is by looking at it in that way. And I don't think the two are, they're kind of inseparable, right? Like, you don't learn to act that way unless you're taught, and you're being taught all the time. Because nobody, even in Marvel movies, nobody stops and goes, you know what, I'm being an idiot. This is a stupid choice. I really need to think about the way I'm handling myself and the way that I'm engaging with my emotions in the world around me, because it is all up to me. Instead, they go, oh, it's Thanos' fault, or, oh, it's Tony Stark's fault, or anybody else but me. And that's just the lesson that we're taught over and over and over and over again.
And we always look for this solution or for this answer that's outside of us. And I hear so often people that are saying, well, I've been, looking through all these things and reading all these books and going to all these therapists, but have you really looked at yourself and thought about what you can do?
No, because that's another thing that we're taught, is to look outside of ourselves for everything.
Yep.
Our value is in our job and our social life and the things that we have. And so we never stop to go, wait, what's actually driving this thing in here? And that turns everything into the demon inside and the unexplainable and the unavoidable and inevitable, when it's like, yeah, maybe for a time. But if you sat down and you realize that maybe you're dealing with some trauma that you weren't dealing with, or maybe something affected you way more than you thought it did, or have been told should have affected you, then maybe, if you could do that, you change the way the world works, because you literally reflect what's inside.
Yep.
And that's it. That's it, really.
Let's dive back in.
Do it.
Left inside, there's still a reason to fight. Don't let it take your side. Look at me, take control. We're going to fight this war. This is nothing worth dying for.
Nothing! There is nothing worth dying for. Nothing.
Well, there is no death either, so.
There's really not, but
There's really not.
oh my God, that just hit me.
No,
I needed that so hard. I needed that so much. I came to a point recently in my life where I started to kind of fall back down again. And fortunately, I caught myself. And fortunately, my son was there and the people that love me were there. And I just realized, you know what? No one in this world is worth dying for. No one and nothing. There's a difference between I would take a bullet for my kid, but I'm not going to be a martyr to a relationship or something. You know what I'm saying? How people would say, I would die for you. I would die for your love. Don't do that. That's an unhealthy relationship.
I love my partner with all my heart. They're my life partner. They're, always going to be a part of my life. I'm very thankful for that, but I am not going to hurt myself so that you can be happy, or, put myself in a situation where I compromise my own health so that you can have better health, because ultimately we're both responsible for ourselves.
Yes.
Everybody's responsible for themselves. That's also, what he was saying right there. He's like, I'm letting go. Well, visually, he's letting go of the bottle and all that. He kind of actually just contradicted what he was saying before by saying that you could just let it go at any point, make your own rules. so maybe he's really actually being pretty philosophical about it, which is great. But yeah, you only have you.
Yeah.
Literally nobody else. I mean, what happens when you get into arguments with people? You go off by yourself. You always die at a different time than your partner. You'll always, you come in without anybody. It doesn't matter if your mom's with you or not.
Yep.
I don't know. It's weird. And that's the thing that we're also taught from a young age, is like, we need to. I just saw something today. I was like, do you think humans could survive if they had to live alone? Like, you live alone all the time, every day.
Right. So I do think that it's important, to make connection. We are social creatures as
Oh,
humans,
for
but
sure.
at the same time, yeah, I think that people have forgotten the importance of being alone and of cultivating a relationship with yourself. And nothing drives me more crazy than that whole "you complete me and I need you." And oh my God, if you feel that way, you're not in a healthy relationship. You
No,
don't need anyone. No one
no.
completes you, you
That
know?
was something I was taught, actually. I had to be taught that because my entire upbringing was need, need, need. It was everything was conditional. And my partner is the first person that I ever met who really accepted me unconditionally. And that was I swear to God, I was just like this close to hate with them for like so long because they were just like, I don't need you for anything. I'm like, yeah, you do. Why not? Why would you need me? But that's the thing is like everything's conditional. Again, your value is outside of yourself. Your value is conditional on the things you can procure in your life. Um, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's just a different aspect of it.
Yeah.
So need versus want is a huge thing that we struggle with as a society in America, in Northern America. I'm not going to say America because we're not the only one.
I think once we start to cope with that, that's going to make a huge difference in the mental
Yeah,
health realm too.
absolutely.
He looks like he's doing karate right now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, let's finish it off.
Are you ready to begin? This is a battle that we are gonna win. When you're aching for the fire and begging for your sin, when there's nothing left inside, there's still a reason. When the demon that's inside you is ready to begin, and it feels like it's a battle that you will never win. When you're aching for the fire and begging for your sin, when there's nothing left inside, there's still a reason to fight. I'll be your reason to fight. Give you a reason to fight.
I like the door opening at the end. I like that
Yeah.
visual. I really liked that visual.
Going home.
Yeah, that's what I got to was the going home, the doors
Yeah.
open, things are new, and who knows, if he got back with the partner he obviously lost, hopefully
Yeah.
rebuilt his family. But I like that he says we. He always it really reiterates that you're not alone when you're going through this battle. Like you were saying, we do have to find it in ourselves. We have to find our own reason. We have to do what we can do to
Yeah.
heal. But at the same time, you don't have to be alone. You don't have to try and struggle alone.
Absolutely.
That meant a lot to me, being
Yeah.
someone that constantly felt, well, nobody cares and nobody understands. He's standing up and saying, we're here. And I know that Disturbed did have a connection with all three of the artists that we were talking about in the beginning, Chester, Chris, and Scott. So I think there was kind of a powerful message there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the interesting points you brought up at the end is that the reason we feel so indebted to our illness in a way is because we make it a part of who we are. It becomes our personality trait. Well, I'm damaged, so ha. Or like, well, but I was hurt when I was a kid, so ha. And there's a lot of conversation that should be had on that topic because ultimately, yes, it happened, but it doesn't always have to happen. And when you make it a part of your personality, you are feeding it and it's becoming more than it was, and you're actually re-traumatizing yourself every time, which is why addiction and things like that are so devastating for people. It's because every time they do it, they re-traumatize themselves and open that wound and then make it bigger and worse, and never realizing that part of the issue is that they've identified solely with the illness and the things the illness either does or doesn't do.
Because now it's, I'm depressed, I'm an addict, I'm this. And I got to the point where I will never say I'm depressed, even if I'm feeling that. I will say I'm having symptoms of depression right now. I'm having symptoms of anxiety. I did struggle with addiction, but I will never say I'm an addict. I was an addict. I'm depressed.
Right.
I struggled with addiction. I overcame addiction, but
that's great.
I think
the language is super important.
Yeah.
We actually perpetuate a lot of our insecurities and wounds and all those things through the language that we use. We don't understand that we are saying certain things, like subconsciously you might say, I'm an addict, or I'm depressed clinically. I just so you know, I have saying you have something versus I am something is a wholly different thing. And that's something I've talked about a lot in my own avenue of art and expression and conversation, that our language is pretty empty. And so if we're not aware of the fact that we're saying empty things, then we will ultimately keep perpetuating the nasty things that we don't want. And the whole time we'll be like, well, how does that happen? I don't understand why I made all this progress, and then I'm looking back and it's not meaning anything to me now. And it's like, because you just told yourself that you haven't made any progress.
Yeah. And you get stuck in that because now you're just saying, well, I haven't done anything, because we think that we think that one day we're just going to wake up and be happy. And that's not how it works. You have to take one step. You have to get one step closer, but it's day by day, and that one step in the right direction is forward movement.
I think too, people don't even understand what happiness is. Like, how can could you even describe happiness to me right now in a definition without using the word happiness or emotion?
Exactly.
Could you do that?
I can now because I had to sit down with myself. I actually had that exact same revelation. I had to sit down with myself and say, what does that actually look like to me? What does it look like to be happy? If I were to consider myself happy, what would that mean? And I do ask that to people that come here on the channel, and are saying, I'm just so unhappy. And the first step to that is knowing what is it that you're looking for. What would even happiness even look like for you? And it's crazy that most people can't answer that without really taking a step back and reflecting.
Well, how could you? But what's surprising about that? It's not like we're taught how to do it.
Yeah, we're not.
It's not like we have good role models, really. I would say the best role models for that are probably people that are younger than me. I'm 25. It's like the generation right below me and the generation below that. They're the people who are really, teaching themselves these things at an earlier age. And it has an obvious impact. Like it's, the world literally is a different place right now than it was 2 years ago. Even a year ago, much less 4.
Well, I don't have to wear a mask now, and we can meet up and hang out sometime soon, Jamie. So that's a plus.
Right? Oh yeah.
I know you talking about language and how important it was. I remember when I was watching A Chant, your short film, and it kind of struck me, there's not a lot of dialogue in it. And at first I'm sitting there going, where's the dialogue? Where's the talking? And then I realized that's not what mental health is about. There's so much more, and it goes so much deeper than that. If anyone hasn't seen that, I'm going to link that below. You definitely need to check it out. It's really powerful, just as an expression, another expression of mental illness.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the plug there. The film is, I understood that when I was making it. I understood that I needed to show people, because people don't understand what it's like. So I really went out of my way to show people what it's like to be in an episode, or to be in that mindset, or to have those kinds of fantasies. And there's actually only one scene really of dialogue that's meaningful between two people, and then one is totally abstract. So it's like the talking in the film is very, very small, not only because people don't really do it, or when I had made it, they weren't really doing it. But also because it's really important for people to see the things and interact with the things that they never will experience themselves.
Yeah.
And try to help them experience it as much as possible, because with that comes the awareness of what you're dealing with, and through that awareness comes the respect and patience you need to deal with people who are not like you, and not take it personally.
Yeah, and it was very powerful. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Is it did a great job of showing, you know, what someone goes through without words, because so often people try and describe it. You can't describe it to someone who hasn't been through it.
No, you cannot.
I
No.
know.
You can only understand the things you know, and if you do not know it, then you might as well close your eyes and try to watch a movie.
Yeah. Did you have any final words to impart with everybody about the song or about the video?
I think it was a great song. I wish it were a little more clear on some of the things that I mentioned, but I appreciate the effort. I think it was done with the best intentions, and I respect that 100%. And I appreciate them even taking the time to try and articulate things like that, because a lot of people don't. And you know, that's not to say everybody, but a lot of artists are kind of scared about getting anywhere deeper than skin deep, and that's a really important thing for us all to get over, is being vulnerable and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, even if we don't say everything we mean, or maybe that's our understanding at the time. I don't know when the song was written, so was this written all of that time ago?
It was written after your dad's passing, at least 2017.
Okay, great.
I think
so
2018.
4 years ago.
Yeah, 2018
Yeah.
It looks like.
So 3 years ago, this is how this person was trying to articulate their feelings. They may or may not feel the same way now, and their stance may change if you were to ask them now, or they might not. And that is totally fine. I think that's worth keeping in mind too, is like with what I've said in response, is like, is that person even in the same space? And allowing them room to change or grow or stay the same. And that's totally up to them too. And so, you know, my final words are just, you know, I appreciate the effort. I appreciate you trying to do something obviously very emotional and complex and scary. But Disturbed's always also done that. So it's not like totally off brand or anything, you know?
Yeah. I never...
Just appreciation. I have appreciation. That's it.
I never delved too much into Disturbed. I definitely have heard quite a few songs, and I forgot how much I loved his voice, actually. It is very powerful without being overwhelming, without being over the top. Because, you know, there's some bands that just, they scream and you have no idea what they're saying, and it's to me, just very overwhelming.
It's an emotional experience.
It is an emotional experience, yeah, more than an intellectual one, which is fine. I mean, sometimes you need that too, but I forgot how much I loved his voice, and I'm with you. I liked the visuals of the video were very powerful. They did very good at the visual effects, and they were simple. You know, it wasn't anything particularly over the top complicated. But yeah,
right.
I think it's amazing, not only that they were trying to honor these people and their stories to try and help other people from losing their way, like your dad or like Chris and Scott, but you know, giving people that empowerment to remember that there is always a reason to fight. There's always help. There's always other people. Whether that's reaching out to one of us, whether that's reaching out to a hotline, whether that's finding a support group in person, online. I always encourage people to leave their mental health stories here in the comments. That's how we shatter the stigma, is just by talking about it, having open communication. Know that you guys always have a safe place without judgment to come here and share your stories. Don't forget to subscribe, click the bell so you're not missing any of the updates. Like and share this video. I love you guys so much. And Jamie, I love and have so much respect and adoration for you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me on again. And thanks for being my friend. I had a lot of fun.
I know.